Welcome to the Affirm Wellness Podcast, where we will explore the many facets of wellness. In each session, we'll dive into inspiring stories, give expert tips, and practical advice to help you live a healthier, more fulfilling life. As we step into a brand new year, we're diving into what it really means to keep going, especially when life feels heavy, progress feels slow, or motivation fades. In this heart-to-heart conversation, we will discuss how perseverance looks in action. We'll unpack how to nurture your mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual wellness while moving through life's ups and downs. Expect real-life stories, a few laughs, practical coping tools, and gentle reminders that growth isn't always about moving fast. Sometimes it's about showing up, even when it's hard. Whether you're rebuilding, recharging, or simply trying to stay consistent, this episode will leave you feeling grounded, inspired, and ready to keep going, one day at a time.
Hey, Deshaun, how you feeling today?
I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. It's a lot going on personally, and also in the world as a whole.
Definitely.
And I'm just taking some intentional deep breaths and continuing to motion forward so that I can, just stay focused and just kind of cope with, some of the stressors that are going on right now.
Taking it one day at a time.
That's it. That's all I can do.
Yes.
Yeah, that's all I can do. What about you?
I'm feeling better than I was a few weeks ago. I had to accept the fact that I had compassion fatigue, and it's hard to kind of define compassion fatigue when it's not work related. I kind of say life and personal life and professional life compassion fatigue.
Yeah.
And so I think identifying that I have compassion fatigue helped me feel a little bit better because I'm now navigating how to manage the things I can't change and control.
Absolutely.
Because when it comes to compassion fatigue, especially with family members, you want to support people, you want to help people.
Yeah.
And if you have a good heart and you care about people, it can, be exhausting, compassion fatigue, especially if people aren't doing the things that they need to do to kind of get themselves together.
Absolutely.
It can be exhausting.
So you just have to realize when enough is enough.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. But then I think the challenge also is that it's the tear of time. So it's challenging. And so in this new year, I'm very passionate about really releasing things to people that belongs to them versus taking it on.
Absolutely.
Even if I have some role to play in it, just being very mindful of how it's impacting me emotionally. I thought I was doing a good job at it, but then I started feeling myself getting exhausted. It could be maybe because it's the beginning of the year and it's, it's just a time to just reflect and make some changes because I can't do this again.
And realizing too that we can help. Help comes in different forms, right?
Definitely.
So sometimes it might mean prayer. Sometimes it might mean giving someone, money or resources, but whatever is comfortable for you and that's not going to drain you.
Definitely.
We have to realize that as helpers, right? Because we want to do everything. But you just kind of get to a point where you just kind of say, enough is enough. This is all I can do, and that's it.
And I think that's why I was able to identify that I had compassion fatigue because these are people I care about.
Sure.
So when you care about somebody and you know their potential and you see their full potential and they're not living up to that potential, it's exhausting.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, why don't you just do this? Why don't you just do that? But I also had to, realize that everyone is not you, boo baby. And some people are struggling with things internally that, even as a therapist, recognizing that people are struggling with things internally. But I think I also have to be compassionate in the fact that, just because I'm a therapist and people come to see me for therapy doesn't mean that other people are ready to do the work.
Absolutely. And they may be stuck.
Yes.
They may be stuck for a while and we may just be the catalyst for another step in that in their change process, but they may not be ready for the big change, right?
Definitely.
Or the metamorphosis that their life really needs to evolve.
Definitely.
So we will continue to do the work and show up for people who we love without draining ourselves.
Definitely. Because,
I know that can be hard.
Leave
really
that in
hard
2025.
balance. Absolutely. Agreed. Agreed. So what are some of the challenges that you feel like you faced in 2025?
I don't know if you remember, I told you my New Year started in March last year. And so I think just trying to get adjusted to all the changes that were going on politically and things like that. And it just went downhill. And so not only did it impact people around me, it also impacted society and, our clients that we serve, and just being able to be there for people. That's what I would say. The same thing is just being there for people and being supportive of people. There's some people that I supported and assisted and, they're thriving, and then some people that are still stuck. And so being able to kind of, navigate what I can change and control, like I said before, that's what I would say. And then just really organizing my life in a way that benefits me.
Yeah.
And I was telling somebody at an event that I had last year that one of the things that I learned about myself or that I've gained this year from last year was patience.
Yes.
I thought I was a patient person.
You're a patient person.
No, I thought I was. I think it's levels to the patience because I think my patience level went up because I'm not angry, but at the same time I'm protecting my peace.
Sure.
And so there's a patience in. There are certain things I don't like and certain things I see happening, but okay, what can I change and control? What do I need to move around and how do I need to take care of myself? And so that's what I would say, like challenges in the sense of navigating family stuff, people being sick and, health issues and just being there for people in different ways. And it's hard. And I started thinking about mortality of my, the older people in my family and all these different things related to loss and different types of loss. And so that's what I would say was challenging for last year because the climate was just not good. But I felt like, I saw light in a lot of spaces and a lot of things. I got to do my Elevate with Blue Baby event and, that was a beautiful thing. And so I think for me, I focus more on the great things that I experienced from last year, but also the lessons that I gained and awareness about myself.
Yeah.
And that patience thing, I think, stood out for me.
Yeah. So patience does have levels because
it has to.
I think we're both very patient people. But as you grow wiser, it's not growing older because sometimes when people grow older, they don't necessarily get more patience, right?
Definitely.
But understanding that patience just plays such an intricate role in just evolving as a person. And I know the people we want to be, right? So we realize that the importance of having that patience. And I think that our patience has evolved. Even though we look at ourselves as patient people, we continue to be tested.
Definitely.
Right? And have those trials, right? We love people. We love to help. But we realize that in making sure that we have to take care of ourselves in that process. And part of that is stepping back and saying, you know what, we can't do everything. We can't be everything for everybody.
Definitely.
And just kind of having the patience to allow people to help themselves is important, right?
Definitely.
So
not on your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
That's what's annoying, I think. So I know I elevated my patience level.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What about you? What are some challenges you faced? And lessons you've learned?
I think that you hit the nail on the head when you said, just kind of watching at this stage in life, you lose people get sick, you get sick, you deal with different things, and just kind of having to still go through life.
Yes.
And
in spite of it all.
With all these things going on, you still have to keep pressing on. That was one of the biggest challenges in 2025. Just watching people you love struggle financially, physically, mentally, emotionally, and you help and you do as much as you can. But then the acceptance in that my mom went through it, my grandma went through it, people that came before us went through it and they grew through it and they pressed on. And so we have to do the same thing.
Yes. That's part of life.
That's the hardest thing,
Yes.
Over the years, of course, I've experienced different losses and things like that, but it was just a lot to deal with, last year.
Great thing that you don't look like what you've been through.
Woo, Jesus. I thank God for that every day.
Yes.
Thank God for that every day, practicing what I preach,
Definitely.
with the self-care,
Definitely.
with talking, with helping others. to just kind of keep myself afloat.
Yeah. And I think that's what the importance of community is, just having that community outlet. I know I've reached out to you for some ear to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
We both have been listening ears to each other, and just being able to share, I think, has been powerful.
Thank God for that.
Yeah, exactly. I have my sister, I have you, and my husband, and various people in my life that I can just talk to, and just express myself and not feel like I'm judged.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even care, but
or that you're burdening them or anything, because they listen and they offer support, and that's just what we need. Because we are, again, helpers. We're used to doing that for other people. But I'm very thankful for having people in my life that listen and support unconditionally.
Definitely.
So some people kind of throw the term, I'm just kind of pressing through, right? I'm just pushing through things. We talk about our challenges, and some people just kind of say, I'm just pressing through.
Yeah.
So I think it's important that we kind of talk about, the difference between pressing through and pushing through,
definitely,
versus really growing through and working through things with intention.
Definitely.
What would you say, the difference is, between the two?
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons I wrote the book about emotional numbness.
Yes.
Because I think a lot of people are emotionally numb and just kind of, going through the motion and things like that. It's just kind of like a functioning alcoholic. They drink, but they know how they go to that job, they get paid, they pay the bills, they do everything, but it doesn't mean that they don't have an issue. And so I feel like the same way with emotional numbness, like you're doing everything that you need to, but you're like a zombie living in the world, like you're just dead, like you're just existing.
Yeah.
You're not really living life and experiencing life how it's supposed to be experienced. So that's what I would think. That's what I would define it as. I feel like pushing through, I'm just pushing through. It sounds good.
Yeah.
But are you intentionally making decisions to effectively live life the best way that you can? Are you incorporating self-care? Are you mindful of the things that you're doing that's harming you? Are you mindful of the things that's working for you? Are you mindful of the things that you can change and control? And so all that self-introspection is important, like being able to do a self-check-in and say, what's going on with me? How am I feeling within myself? And navigate. And how does that look like when it comes to me navigating things around me? And so that's what I think, the real pushing through should look like, not just going through the world like a zombie or just kind of going through the motions and stuff like that. What are your thoughts about that?
I hear a lot of people say, I'm gonna get through it. And
that's a good affirmation.
I'm gonna get through
it.
That's a good affirmation. I am gonna get through it. I got this.
But what are you doing about it?
Yeah. The next step is, what are you going to do about it? Because it becomes so overwhelming at some point where you just can't sit through it, right? Yeah. So in a therapy space, I'm always interested in teaching the tools, hearing about the tools that you already have, and then what can I teach you to use to really work through and navigate with intention. So you're not just existing, you're living. And when the things pile up, because they will pile up,
definitely,
right? That you're able to cope with it without using things that we know are not good for us. Yes. Alcohol, drugs, sex, spending money that you don't have on shopping or trips, because those things are temporary fixes, right? But, growing and pushing through things with intention means that, I'm going to go to therapy.
Do the work.
Yeah. I'm going to maybe, strengthen my spirituality and my religion. I'm going to go to church. Yeah. Or I'm going to stop hanging around this group of people that just like to party and drink and all that stuff. And I'm going to hang around people who are trying to better themselves. Yeah. Maybe it's exercise. So those are the things that, I talk about and challenge us all to do when we're growing through things intentionally. Yeah. Because existing only lasts for so long.
Yeah. Without you falling apart.
Yeah. Leading to a breakdown.
Definitely.
And so we don't want that to happen. So when I hear it, I'm with it, because like you said, it's an affirmation. I'm going to push through this. I'm going to get through this. But how is the next step? And that's what really keeps us going.
Yeah. So. You know what's funny to me about being a therapist is that people don't recognize that we go through those things. Yeah. That we don't have life. I think they feel like either we don't have life challenges or that we just magically deal with them, and they don't recognize that we still have to do our work as
Right.
well.
Right.
So
Right.
we still have to push through and do the intentional pushing through.
Absolutely. And we had to, grow in order to get there, right? And just kind of looking at the growth process. We talked about patience, and we talked about doing things with intention. And with growth, sometimes it just doesn't look like anything is happening.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Sometimes it's internal.
Yes.
Right? Like my process of working through things and using tools was a growth process. And like I said earlier, it didn't come with just getting older. It came with experiencing life like I did in 2025 and all years before.
Yeah.
It started with really experiencing life and realizing that in order for me to continue to get through things like this, I actually have to use tools.
Definitely.
And I also have to be around people that empower me to use tools and be a healthy version of myself.
And I'm glad you said that, because I think for me, when I was younger, asking for help was a very hard thing.
Absolutely.
I didn't trust people to ask them for help, apart from family members or certain family members. But now, if I can get support from you, I'm going to ask for help. I don't care. I'm not afraid to. I don't care if you put it on CNN, Fox 5 that you helped me. I don't care. I got my needs met and stuff like that. And so what's that saying, that a closed mouth don't get fed?
Absolutely.
And so I speak up, and guess what has happened in 2025? Everything that I asked for, I've received it, and even more in abundance. And so we have to speak up and ask for support and ask for help. And everybody that's reached out to me in my community, I've supported them the best way that I can. And so, and if I can't, I give them the resource to help, connect them with resources to help support them. And so I think that's another thing too, not isolating. Making sure that you're not isolating. In order to continue to move forward and keep going, you can't isolate. You have to put yourself out there. And sometimes you want to isolate. You want to keep to yourself and not ask for any help, but it's important to ask for help. There are seasons in your life that you do have to be by yourself and center yourself and things like that, but for the most part we're meant to survive in community. We need community to survive, because once I think the benefit of our conversations that we have is that that you're not the only one going through certain things, that we all have our challenges. It might not look the same, but nevertheless there's still challenges, and we're both navigating it.
It takes a level of vulnerability to be within community. To maybe be within a group, and you don't necessarily have to say anything, you're just being present.
Definitely.
Because being by yourself and isolating, there's a season for that, right? That's growth too, because some people
don't know how to be by themselves.
They don't know how to be by themselves. They're constantly like, I need to, be on the go, I need to do this and that, right? But it's a form of trying to ignore or suppress what's really going on, right? So there's a season for being by yourself, in prayer and meditation, and then there's a season where you really need your community. Last year and in 2024 was a season where I really needed my community, and my community showed out. Showed up and showed out. And I'm so appreciative of that. Thank God for that to this day, because it kept me empowered. We empowered each other. And, and I'm still here, and I'm so appreciative of that. So, and that's a part of just kind of growth and checking in, like you said earlier, with yourself and kind of knowing what you need. Whether it's community, whether it's stillness, because stillness is growth. Did I say that already? So I just, I am appreciative of understanding, what stillness looks like, what needing community looks like, also what utilizing tools looks like in order to kind of work through the challenges. And like I said, we're here because we understand that, and we now understand how to kind of navigate life's challenges, and we're still working on growing in those areas, as we move forward. We're not perfect, right? But I think we kind of understand now the difference between pushing through versus growing through things with intention.
And I think one of the things also is one of the things that I've learned from myself is asking people how I can support them, not necessarily assuming what they need.
Mm-hmm.
I can definitely do things, that I think they need, but at the
Sure.
same time, also asking, what do you need? How can
Yeah.
I support you during this time?
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't have answers, definitely, bringing food or
Mm-hmm.
financial, support and things like that. But definitely ask people, how can I support you? I've been doing that a lot
Yeah.
since last year. Like
Absolutely.
2024, 2025, I've done that a lot. I practiced that a lot.
Absolutely. Well, good deal. Well, I think that this is a good time to kind of, wrap things up a bit and, share. And I know this is something that we do with our clients in therapy
Yes.
a lot is encourage them to use I statements, right? And so, I want both of us to kind of share, using I statements, what we will do to keep going, starting with using I statements. What will we do? Why will we keep going? I will keep going because
Okay, you want me to start?
I think you should start.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would keep going because God has given me a gift to support others, and I want to continue to do that. I want to transform lives through His help and just continue to navigate this thing we call life. And I'm going to keep going because I have beautiful children that I have to guide and protect and give support. So, I'm going to keep going because of that.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. What
That's
about
beautiful.
you, Deshauna?
Whew, I'm going to try to keep it short. I will keep going because I've seen how good it can get, and I want to see what's on the other side.
That's good.
And I know that if I keep working hard and keep showing up for things that really matter the most, that it's going to go from good to great.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
I like that. So, what are some takeaways from today?
There were a lot of takeaways. So, the main takeaway for today, just to sum it up, no matter where we are in our journey, we just need to keep going. Growth takes time, and rest is part of that progress,
Yes,
right?
Yeah.
It's part of the progress, and small steps still count. We need to count the small steps as joy, and not always just kind of looking for, the big picture, right? Count those small steps as we go on. Stay consistent. Give ourselves grace through the mistakes. Celebrate the good times, the challenges, because we know that we grow through the challenges just as much as, the successes, right? And remember that wellness isn't about perfection, right? We're not looking for perfection here. We just want to make progress. It's about being persistent and consistent, and knowing that, if we stick it out, right, we'll see how it ends.
Definitely. I agree. Nice takeaway. And so one of the things that as therapists that we also ask clients to do is discuss what commitments they want to make, before the next session, what commitments are they going to make to themselves. And so in doing so, I'm going to challenge our audience to write yourself a short note of encouragement, the kind you give to a close friend who's struggling. Read it out loud each morning this week as a reminder that you've made it through every hard day so far, and you can keep going. And so that's your challenge for the week. Until our next episode, keep doing that exercise. And we're excited to continue to learn, grow, and share with you.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us. Remember, wellness is not a destination, but a process, and every step you take matters. Until next time, stay grounded, stay connected, and keep prioritizing your well-being.